Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman is at it again. Oh boy. Okay, let's talk about what Bill Ackman's saying here, and I'll give some points based upon this. If you have no clue who Bill Ackman is, you're clicking on this video. You can always Google him as this video goes along. Essentially, okay. There's a reason I'm obviously bringing him up. He's a huge name in the stock market community, and he has some interesting words. And I would love to hear your guys' opinion on this in the comments section. I would love to hear your guys' take on this. I love reading through the comments, especially on a controversial take like this. Let's jump into this, guys. This is what he just tweeted here a few hours ago. In January 2020, I had nightmares about the potential for a pandemic, but everyone seemed to think I was crazy. I'm having similar nightmares now. World War III has likely started already, but we have been slow to recognize it. Putin has invaded Ukraine and it's not going well. All right, so before we get to the rest of this, it's not a good look to throw out like, oh, I'm calling World War III. Like, everybody recognizes the potential of World War III. Whenever Russia's doing something and invading a major country, we all are aware of this. And this isn't something like you want to call. This is not like a stock where it's like, oh, I called that before everybody else called it, right? No, this isn't that type of situation. There's a reason everybody in the world's paying attention to this Russia-Ukraine situation right now, right? I can't go on YouTube without getting videos fed to me about nuclear war and the biggest nuclear bombs and, like the newest thing out of CNN that's going on in Russia-Ukraine right now. This stuff is everywhere, okay? Everybody recognizes this. And this isn't like a moment to try to say, hey, I'm going to be right on this. I'm going to be the one that called it. Don't forget about me. It's not the vibe, man, okay? And so that's my opinion on this World War III trying to call it. It's like, no, this isn't like a situation you call. We all recognize the potential of something getting a lot worse here, and Europe getting involved and the U.S. getting involved. We all understand that, right? We all are hoping for the best in the situation, but we all recognize that this is a possibility, okay? So I wanted that to first be said. For Russia, the Ukrainians have put up a remarkable resistance. NATO refuses to enter the war, but NATO members and most of the rest of the world have launched an economic war and are supplying Stingers, anti-tank weapons, other munitions, intelligence, and funding. Putin declared these actions as acts of war against Russia. Wait a minute. All right, the way Bill Ackman put that there sounds way more scary than what Putin actually said. This is Putin's direct quote I'm about to read you, okay? His direct quote. Quote, "These sanctions that are being imposed are akin to a declaration of war, but thank God it has not come to that," Putin said, okay? So, if you take people's words out of context in a very, very serious situation, it can sound very, very scary. And once again, this is not, in these sorts of moments, these are not time periods to mess up quotes that somebody is doing out there or to try to scare people. And keep in mind, this is the same Bill Ackman that a lot of people already distrust because of what happened when he went on TV, on CNBC, and he was talking about hotels were going to zero and this and that, right? And then all of a sudden he flipped and he's like, but, I'm buying today. And it was like, all of a sudden, stocks went from down to up. And that rubbed people the wrong way, like in a huge way. And so if you got to understand, if the public's already looking at you as kind of a villain in this situation, you can't go messing up people's quotes or trying to make things sound way more scary than what they essentially are. Okay, that's very important. So right off the bat, he's just off to a horrible start here, in my opinion. Okay, yet there is much more we can do before we enter a hot war with Russia. We could stop the absurdity of buying oil from Russia and funding the war. Okay, Mr. Ackman. We do that, and you do realize gas prices are about to go up massively more as if they're not already going up, okay? And so that's fine. We can choose that option, but get ready to pay, $5, $6, $7 a gallon for gas. Because right now, even though, I'm sure everybody that wants the ability or has the ability to frack for oil or get out there and start drilling, those folks, it takes a little bit of time, okay? It could take several months, if not a year, to get a lot of wells up and running. And so that's not fixing problems in the short term. So if the U.S. decides to completely cut out Russian oil, and that's certainly a decision that can be made, it's just very important to understand that guess where gas prices are going? They're skyrocketing up much more. Okay. And so, this is where it's like, what do you choose here? You want everybody in the United States to pay way more for gas than they're already having to pay? And you want oil prices and Brent crude to continue to skyrocket? And so, man, these are tough decisions. That's all I can say. You make it sound really easy until you realize all of a sudden, people are trying to pay $5, $6, $7, a gallon for gas, or maybe more than that. You never know how far things can go the other way, right? Europe could follow suit once demand for gas declines in the spring. Okay, so now we're also, thinking a little bit about this, right? We could supply Ukraine with our best weaponry and more of it. We could give them access to intelligence, which would enable them to better target the enemy. We could give them better drones and training to operate them. We don't need to put troops on the ground because Ukrainians with the right weapons and resources have proven they have what it takes to win the war unless Putin goes nuclear. Our reason, there's so many just statements being made there. Dude, you don't know if they have what it takes to fight them off. You're no clue, Bill Ackman. Like no disrespect. You have no clue. I have no clue. No one has any clue if Ukraine can really fight them off. Just because you've been fighting, them off for a few days, Russia has been making progress. And keep in mind, wars can last months. Guess what? They can last years. And so just because you haven't given up all your big cities in a matter of a few days, the war is 9 days in? Just because you haven't given it up doesn't mean, we won. We can fight them off. That's not the way this works, dude. It's frustrating. Anyways, our reason for not doing more appears to be out of fear of provoking Putin. We have, however, already provoked Putin by giving Ukrainians the weapons that they are enabling them to succeed in this war. It's such a strong word, like succeeding in this war. No one's succeeding in this war right now. Let's be very clear about that. No one's winning this. Ukraine's not winning this. Russia is not winning this. Everybody's losing right now. Everybody. And all the other countries are losing right now as well. Everybody's losing. There's no winners right now. Let's be very, very clear about that. Because Russia is now a nuclear power and Putin is a madman, he says, okay, we say we can't intervene in Ukraine. What then more can we do that he wants more? The nuclear threat is no different when he takes the next country, whether it is part of NATO or not. Okay, this is a whole different situation. Ukraine is not part of NATO. And so if they were trying to take a NATO country, it would be a fully different situation. That's not this. You know what I mean? That's not this. And it sounds to me like, if anything, Bill Ackman's trying to get the states into World War III. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me. Because now it sounds like he just wants us to get much, much, much more involved in this than we already are involved in this, right? And this is not a NATO country. Ukraine is not a NATO country. He wants to get even more involved in this. It sounds like to me what Bill Ackman is trying to do is push an agenda to start WW3. That's what it sounds like to me. And by then, they're strategically worse off. He has made his ambitions publicly known. Yes, he has. Many of us make the mistake of pushing painful confrontations out into the future, even while knowing the costs are inevitably escalate. We let Putin occupy Georgia and Crimea with little pushback, and his aspirations only got larger because we did nothing to stop him. Okay, all right. Once again, what are we supposed to do? Does he want boots on the ground? What are we supposed to do? We're just supposed to, protect even countries that aren't part of NATO now? That's a big question. Where does it stop? Where does it stop? How? There's a lot of people that already wonder, right? Why the U.S. has to be involved in everybody else's business. Everybody else's business, right? Why do we have to protect everybody, even if they're not part of NATO? We have to do that. It's just okay, that's it. That's an interesting stance. I wonder if Bill Ackman, if some, a bunch of guys with, machine guns went into his neighborhood and started robbing somebody's house, right? Would he go out there and protect him? Nah, heck no. He'd stay in his house and call 911 and be like, hey, I think somebody's doing something over there. Give me a break, man. And yet he wants us to just, get involved in everybody else's business and go be hero and get into all these different wars. That's the thing. It's just he's pushing agendas. And, this is the type of stuff that just freaks out the market more than anything, right? It just freaks the market out. And it makes you think, where's Bill Ackman's position right now? Is he short anything? What's going on here, right? Is he long any oil positions? It sounds like he wants more confrontation, if anything. That's what it sounds like to me. So, He says, we're in the early innings of Putin's global aspirations. Says who? Says who? With each victory, he's emboldened to take more. He is testing us. He's testing us? Oh, gosh, man. And we are failing to test each time. NATO and Biden have refused to create a no-fly zone and have said that we will not enter the war to defend Ukraine. Yet Biden has said that if Russia attacks a NATO country, we will intervene by setting a hard line based only on NATO membership. Doesn't this give Putin, basically the ability to invade Sweden, Finland, and all these other places? Not really. No. Okay. No. It's two totally different things. Oh, gosh. But whatever. As a thought experiment, ask yourself a few questions. What if instead of using rockets to kill civilians, Putin used gas chambers? Would that change our willingness to intervene? Why should it matter the type of weapon that is being used to kill civilians in our determination of whether to intervene? Is there a threshold number of that must die before we decide? Yeah, that's a good question, Bill Ackman. Should we intervene in everything, right? Should we, get involved in everything? It's like, because if we were involved in everything, I don't know if you ever looked at what's going on around the world, Bill Ackman, but there's a whole lot of stuff, and there's a whole lot of wars going on all the time, and there's a whole lot of battles going on all the time. And so where should the U.S. get involved and where shouldn't we get involved, right? And, for us in the United States, we got involved very much in the Middle East, right? And a lot of people look at that and they're like, wow, we spent all that money. We lost how many soldiers in those battles, right? And did we really fix things, right? And I think that's a fair question. Did we really fix the Middle East in those situations, right? And we spent 2 decades doing that. Countless lives were lost. Trillions of dollars spent, right? And manpower and thought and all this stuff. And, like how much progress did we make? These are fair questions you got to ask. And so you just want us to get involved in anything? Like, okay, we'll just get involved in everything, I guess, okay? Something's going on over there. It's no part of our country or not even close. It's not part of NATO. It's not part of, but there was an attack over here. It's 2 armies fighting. We got to go pick who's going to be the winner here and who's going to be the loser. Let's go get on the winning side. Come on, man. We should do, if Putin's next stop, it was Sweden and started killing civilians, should we differentiate among non-NATO countries in our willingness to intervene? Our reluctance to intervene likely comes from the fact that many of us think Ukraine as part of Russia because it used to be, and many Westerners have never been there. When I was a child, I learned about the Holocaust as every other person learned about the Holocaust. I asked my grandparents why they didn't do more to save millions of lives from the genocide of World War II. They didn't have good answers. What will we say to our grandchildren? What were your grandparents supposed to do? Were they going to stop the whole Nazi army? What were they supposed to do, Bill Ackman? When they ask us why we allowed tens or hundreds of thousands or millions of Ukrainians to die, I hope we all get around these questions. Bill Ackman, I know Ukraine's taking anybody to go fight over there right now. If you want to go over there, it's free. They'll take you. Bill Ackman. Go on. You don't need to have Twitter fingers. If you want to go over there and fight, and do something, here's your chance. You can go over there and fight. Don't have Twitter fingers. Go on over there. Just quit talking and get on over there if you want to do something about it. Don't say, why didn't your grandparents do something? Well, your opportunities right now. They'll take anybody right now to fight over there. The better the defense Ukrainians put up, the more aggressive Russians become. This has put us on a very bad place because Ukrainians are bravely prepared to fight to the death. We have seen indiscriminate shelling of apartments, blocks, and civilians. It's only going to get worse. We need to use every economic sanction. It's only going to get worse. In your opinion, it's only going to get worse, okay? We need to use every economic sanction and give the Ukrainians every weapon they need to defend themselves. We're doing a lot, man, and I think there's just about every sanction on there, except taking away the oil. I think that's about all that's pretty much left at this point. I mean, they're taking yachts of just rich people in Russia now at this point. Like, they're doing a lot in order to deter Russia from future aggression. The time for holding back sanctions and arm rest has ended. The more painful this is for Putin and the Russian people, the less willing he will be to try this again if people's efforts fail, and we will know this very soon. We need to reconsider. And also, Bill Ackman, you realize all those sanctions and whatnot are obviously causing devastation to the Russian people who, honestly, probably a lot of them don't really want this war, right? And so what about all those innocent people in Russia right now that don't want this war, that don't want this battle, that are being hurt right now in a massive, massive way? What about those? Do those lives not matter now? Is it only other people, right? I'm pretty sure the high majority of those Russian people, they want no part of this. They want to live a peaceful life. They want, hopefully prosperity as much as possible for their families and to enjoy their lives. That's what they want. But every time we're doing all this stuff, who's hurt? The Russian people are hurt over and over. And you act like it's just so easy that they can just, take over. The Russian people, they put up protests. They're trying to do everything possible and they get arrested in mass. So we need to reconsider a no-fly zone in further NATO military intervention. What does that mean? What does that mean? You said no boots on the ground. What does that mean? Because the Ukrainians' capable military, we fortunately don't need to send troops to help them succeed. In spite of all the above, I am in life an optimist, but only the optimist the way I can see. Out of this war is for China to step in. Holy smokes, now we've got China. So China's going to step in and broker a real ceasefire and a settlement. In the settlement, the Ukrainians could agree that they will never join NATO. Russia can in turn withdraw, and the sanctions can be reversed. Putin can get what he originally asked for, and that is Ukraine not to be part of NATO. We could then launch a mini Marshall Plan to rebuild Ukraine, and it can acquire the weaponry and training it needs to protect itself over the long term. The Ukrainians have power, or have proven themselves to be fierce adversary, and with adequate weapons and resources, they could deter future aggression, and they won't need a NATO membership to protect them from, to protect their homeland. It appears that China gave Putin the nod to attack Ukraine. Putin respects and likely fears China. China can elevate itself on the world stage by helping to resolve the crisis. Time is running short before many more 18-month-old children die. So wait just a minute. Wait just a minute. So basically, as long as Russia decides to withdraw, we're going to reverse our sanctions? We're going to reverse our sanctions? What? We're going to reverse our sanctions if Russia withdraws. So then it's like, you guys went in there and a lot of people died and stuff, but you know what? We'll just forget about it. We're going to reverse the sanctions. Everything's cool now. What? What are you talking about, man? Holy smokers. This ain't no jokers. I don't know what Bill Ackman's thinking about. You know what I mean? Like what is he talking about? Everybody understands the real possibilities, but the more and more that the West gets involved and NATO gets involved in the situation, the more and more likely we will push into a possible World War III. Because the more and more you slide that way, next thing you know, all of a sudden troops are coming in. We've already put a ton of troops over in Europe in general right now, in NATO countries, right? If the more you keep sliding that way, next thing you know, you're in a full-scale war. And then your nightmares about World War III come more realistic the more and more you step over the bounds, right? And so it don't matter what, in these sorts of situations, there's pros and cons of each, okay? And the pros are little and the cons are massive, right? Don't matter what, there's negatives in all these situations. And to make it sound like it's so easy, like do this, do that, it doesn't work like that, right? So Bill Ackman, I don't know what he's trying to do here, but holy smokes, man, that was just a hot mess. Let me know your guys' opinion. Much love as always and have a great day.